Are we streaming yet? Hey, we're online. And I have a little kid yelling in the background. So you guys can see me. I'm starting a little early today. Hopefully you guys can hear me, because I can't hear myself. So I am live today only on YouTube. So I'm going to let people know that I am live on YouTube right now, over on Facebook and social media. So we're going to go here. Post that there. Okay. All right, so we are online. We are on. We have one person watching today so far. That's good. If you're watching, 4 people watching. If you're watching, just go ahead and let me know in the comments. The only comments I can see today, by the way, guys, are the comments over on YouTube. I'm not streaming on Facebook today. I'm not streaming on Twitch. So if you are over watching me here on YouTube today, please just say hello in the chat, and then I can see your comments. Today we are going to be talking about tools that you may want to have, and some you may already have for your 3D printing and 3D printing needs. Just before we start the show today, I know I came on a little bit earlier. There's Fred Kaz. Hello, Fred. I hope you found the files okay over on the YouTube or on the Facebook group. I'm getting the two mixed up today. Oh my goodness. So I hope you found the files that I put over in the First Layer Facebook group today for whatever you need. If you are new here and you're just checking us out for the first time, don't forget to subscribe. We hold contests and give stuff away all the time. Hit that notification button down below, and you'll get notified every time we do a live stream or we do a recorded show, and you'll get to see everything as it comes up online. Now, we've got a few people watching already. Holy Christmas! Look at that. So now first of all, let's make sure that my audio is good. Hello to you, Mark Brennan. Mark is a customer here at Spool 3D, great guy. Does all kinds of really cool sci-fi 3D prints, and we're actually tuning up his printer for him here at the shop. So welcome again, Mark. So today's kind of an impromptu stream. I meant to stream today, not like last Wednesday where I didn't mean to stream. I'm streaming today for a couple of reasons. One, I had such a busy day yesterday. Frank and I were down at Trotec Laser yesterday, and I got to tell you, it was amazing to see what lasers can actually do in your makerspace. And we didn't talk price, so when this footage airs next Wednesday, our tour of Trotec, when we get, you guys get to see everything that we worked on yesterday. You won't, you're not going to hear any pricing about what the laser systems cost. And I did that intentionally because it was more about the information and the education about laser cutting and laser engraving. Good afternoon, Joshua. Thanks for checking in. That's awesome. And we have Geraldine Ham, and everybody's watching on their iPhone or on their phone while they're at Denny's. The whole family's gathered around Geraldine's phone by the looks of things in the chat. So today what we're going to talk about is tools. And these are the tools that we use as 3D printers. You know what, I'm going to actually just run the intro. So Derek Boudreau, good afternoon, sir. I'm just going to run the intro, and then we will come back and we'll start talking about tools. Hey, welcome back. I'm Richard Cleveland. I am your host here on The First Layer 3 times a week. We do Coffee with Rich on Monday and on Friday, and that's kind of keeping you up to date on what's going on in 3D printing and exploring the world of 3D printing. And you can see down below there that I have got myself a Twitter account. It's Cleveland-IM, so I am Cleveland. Derek Boudreau's probably thinking, no, I married one of those Clevelands, so you're not the only one. You're absolutely right about that, Derek. I am not the only one. We have a huge family, but they're all out east. So let's dive into everything that we're going to talk about today. Okay, so Joshua comes up with a really good thing before we start into the tools, but I'm going to come back to that, Joshua. Let's switch cameras here and we will check out exactly what I've got here on the table. Now, I've got all kinds of tools here on the table. Certainly, you do not need all of these to 3D print, but I want to start with the basics. And the basics that you should have is this group right here, which is a brush to clean your nozzle when it gets hot, and you can use that to get all that gunk off your nozzle. We have a pair of side cutters, which you can find at any hobby store. And you know what? A lot of printers are now kind of coming with these inside their kits. We have a scraper here, and while I'm on that, Joshua says that scraper blades can cut you at super deep warning. Yes, that is a warning that these can cut you. If they are too sharp, they can cut you. These points on the ends, they can be very, very dangerous. If you're holding your bed from the back like I do stupidly to try and steady it, because every time you push to try and get underneath that part, what's happening is you're pushing that bed to the back and you're not getting enough leverage underneath the part. So what I recommend, if you've got a scraper like this, and they're just a plain old putty scraper that you can find at any hardware store, is take your grinder or a file and just round over those corners, because they are quite sharp. If I go back here, you can actually see how sharp they are. Like, those corners are really, really sharp. And I've dug into myself a few times. So, you know, you guys don't do what I do, but, you know, hopefully you're following some of the advice I'm giving you. Round off those corners. And if you round off the corners, it won't cut you nearly as bad. Because a blunt instrument against your skin usually doesn't cut you, but when you've got a sharp corner like that, it can cut you very deeply. So be very careful when using a scraper. Now, next we have a pair of tweezers, which are important for getting the little globs off underneath your extruder. And I have here what is better known in the industry as what the heck is this thing called again? You use it for spark plugs. You use it to gap spark plugs and things like that. You know, it's escaping me. If somebody knows what this is, let me know in the comments. There we go. Feeler gauge. That's the word I was looking for. It's a feeler gauge. I use this, and you can see that I've got one of the little blades pulled out. Thank you, Joshua, for filling me in on that. And this is a 0.08 millimeter. Now, this is roughly the thickness of a piece of paper. And when you're trying to level your bed and get your nozzle level, I prefer to use this than the paper, because what happens if you are too close to the bed, what's going to happen with paper is you're going to dig into the fibers of that paper and you can tear it. That's why I like a feeler gauge, and these are super, super cheap. I think you can pick them up for around $5 at most stores, okay? So feeler gauge is very important. Next thing I want to talk about is this group up here. I've got two little screwdrivers. One is a Phillips head, and the other is just a flat-bladed head. And these two screwdrivers, for me, they're great for getting into different areas and undoing different screws. And then you'll see I have a collection of 6 nut drivers from 5 millimeter all the way down to 1.5 millimeter. And these are hex nut drivers. And you can get this set of 6 off of Amazon. They're actually quite cheap. Where's the sheet of paper for the head height? This is, okay, going back to that real quick, Fred, this is what I was talking about, using a feeler gauge instead of the piece of paper. You can certainly use a piece of paper. I just prefer to use a feeler gauge. For the cost of the feeler gauge, it's not that much. So get yourself a good set of hex drivers. These ones have a rounded end on them, so you can get in there from different angles if you're just a little off axis when you're trying to get that 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter, or 5 millimeter bolt or screw out of there. Joshua says you can pretty much buy all this stuff at Princess Auto, and you're absolutely right about that. But not everywhere in the world do they have a Princess Auto. I know Princess Auto is pretty much good here in Canada, but other places in the world, you might have like a Fry's electronics store, which you can go to, or what's the big discount place that's online? And I hear about a lot of it in the U.S. market, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But in any case, let's get back to the tools. So the nut drivers are essential. Now, some printers come with a set of Allen keys, and usually it's four, 5, or 6 Allen keys. KMS Tool or Harbor Freight, that's the one I was thinking of. Most printers come with a set of Allen keys so you can do little maintenance. My problem with Allen keys is that they are so small that my big meat hooks have a hard time holding on to those little Allen keys. That's why I prefer something with a handle. I can torque down. If I want to get a little bit of extra torque, then I'll put an Allen key in and give it a little extra turn to tighten it up. The next thing I want to talk about is this collection down here, and I'm just going to switch cameras again. This collection of spanners and pliers. Now the spanners and the pliers, on the table I've got a 5 millimeter, 6 millimeter, and a 7 millimeter. The 7 millimeter I use when I am dealing with nozzles. In a lot of cases, especially with E3D nozzles, it's a 7 millimeter nut driver that you need to loosen them or put them on. You'll also see I have a little tiny, what looks like a child's toy, but it actually isn't. This is another spanner, an expandable spanner. So you can use that to get around some of the nuts as well, and some of the parts on your print head. A pair of needle nose pliers, very, very important to have. A pair of regular pliers, and then here I have a set of channel locks. I like having the channel locks because then I can actually take the channel locks with the print head, and I can put the channel locks, I can expand them to the size that I need, and then I can put them right around the hot block or the heater block. That way I don't get burned. I'm not crushing the heater block. I'm not putting any force on the throat when I'm trying to take the nozzle off with that 7 millimeter spanner. So it's very handy to have a set of channel locks. And you know, the nice thing about having channel locks is that you can get in while it's still on the printer without having to disassemble stuff. Jerry's project says, how's it going? Finally caught your stream. Thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate that you're here with the stream. This is normally a recorded show, but today we're doing the live stream. So having a set of channel locks, an inexpensive set. This is a Stanley Fat Max set. You certainly don't have to get something nearly as extravagant as Stanley. If you're in the States, you can go to Harbor Freight and get something from Harbor Freight. Another thing I like to have is a tape measure. And this is just a cheap old Tool World tape measure. Actually, this comes from Manitoba. It's got a 204 phone number on it. area code, but this one particularly has millimeters on it. And let me see if I can get you guys to see that over here on this camera. It's got inches and millimeters on it. So it's really good for measuring the height difference on your Z-axis to make sure that your X-axis is perfectly level to the bed and to the rest of the machine. So an inexpensive little tape measure is the way to go. I'm watching your comments over here, so if you have something that you want me to say, just say Richard, and then I can look. Okay, so now let's look at a couple of more specialized tools. Okay, we've talked about some of the basics. This guy right here, a multimeter. It's good to have a multimeter and to have yourself a ceramic screwdriver. The reason that you want these two items, and hopefully you know how to use a multimeter, is to measure the voltage on your printer drivers. And you want to use a ceramic screwdriver as opposed to a metal screwdriver. The reason you want to use a ceramic screwdriver is because if you should happen to slip while there's power going into the printer, you can very easily damage your electronics if you have a metal screwdriver. So I never ever tell people to have a metal screwdriver for adjusting the pots on the or potentiometers on the stepper drivers. Always make sure that you have an inexpensive ceramic screwdriver. This is one of the best tools I have ever put into my kit because it's so easy to use, and just like most of the other small tools that we have here, this is definitely going to help you. Okay, now getting back to this, the ceramic screwdriver and this are the two things that you need to adjust the temperatures or the current, pardon me, the current that's going to your stepper drivers. And you simply, if you know what you're doing, you set it to the voltage that you need, and then you make sure that you're getting the proper voltage out of all of your stepper meters. And this is also great for tracing problems. If you've got an electronics problem inside your printer and you're not quite sure what it is, this will help you diagnose where the problem areas lie. So get yourself an inexpensive meter and check it out. Another thing that I like to have, and this is one of those optional tools. This is a thermal gun. What this does is I can check the temperature of the bed and check the temperature of the nozzle using this device to make sure that I am within the acceptable limits that my printer is reporting. And it helps with accuracy, because if your bed is not reporting 65 degrees, let's say, and you want to tune it up, well, you won't know that it's not actually 65 degrees. It might say 65 degrees, but it may not be 65 degrees on the bed. So having one of these little temperature guns really helps out, and all it takes is a 9-volt battery, so it's actually pretty good. Good evening to the German printing nerd. I see you there. So again, this is an optional item. I got one for mine because I have a multitude of printers. So I like to make sure that all my printers are definitely giving me the right temperature. Now moving on to some of the other tools that I've got here, and I'm just going to show you what they are. We have a pair of wire strippers and crimpers for when you need to do some wire work. We have some terminal crimpers here. What this will do is help to get that nice finished look on your ends of the parts that you need. Let's say you're putting a new DuPont plugs on. This is the crimper that you want to use. And then I've just got a wire stripper here. I know that this can do what both of these will do, but it's nice to have an individual tool for each of those problems. And then, you know, you can move up. If you don't want to spend money on all of this stuff, and you want something that's just a little tiny kit and you want to have some stuff, things that I suggest that you have are definitely those drivers and definitely the putty knife and the snippers. And I talked about this guy on the Christmas show that we did, the live stream on December 1st. This is a 64-bit driver kit, and it has all of the bits that you're going to need for taking apart and doing maintenance on your 3D printer. Now, I don't have this one. Where are my digital calipers? Good question. Grim Forge asked me about my digital calipers. I'm going to get to those because I do have them here. They're somewhere. But get yourself one of these if you don't want to go out and buy separate, you know, drilled or nut drivers and hex drivers and that sort of thing. This thing has all the bits you could ever need. It's also got some sockets in it. I have a variation of this kit, and this kit is this one right here. It's from iFixit, the same company. This one comes in a little pouch, and it has a whole bunch of tools in it. I believe I got this off of Amazon or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's got some spudgers here for removing glass off of your iPhone or digital products. It's got some tweezers. It's got a ruler, a knife, some metal spudgers as well. And then it has this driver kit. And this is very similar to the driver kit that you get in this box. Okay? And really, I use this thing more often than not. Sometimes I'll use this more than I use these. So it's really good to have, and if you can get one that's in a case where everything's kind of locked up, it's nice and handy to have right by your printers, and it's easy to access when you need it, that sort of thing. Now, Grim Forge says, where are my calipers? Where are my calipers? That is a very, very good question. They're not down there. But a pair of digital calipers is definitely what you want to have. I showed those on the Christmas show. I have calipers around here somewhere. Don't ask me where they are at the moment. But I do have calipers, digital calipers. Let me quickly run and grab some. Oh, maybe they're right here. Nope, they're not right there. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to run and grab some. It's nice to be in a store where everything is available to you that you can just run and grab it. I didn't run away on you guys. I'm still here. So these are the Aurora brand calipers. They come in a really nice hard shell case. They come with instructions, a spare battery. They're really nice. They're all packed in foam. And one of the other things I really like about this set, I have a set of these myself, I just don't know where they are at the moment, is that inside here, the instruction manual, or is it in here? Nope, it's not in there. They used to put in a little note for you about the calibration process of these calipers. So if these ones doesn't look like these ones come with it anymore, but they are really good calipers to have. They're very, very accurate. If you're looking for these ones, you can find them at the Spool 3D website. Just so you know, hand mirror to see the nooks and crannies just under the hot end. If no mirrored bed or flashlight or control box. A flashlight's a very good idea. Most people have a flashlight in their home. Most people have a mirror of some sort, especially if you have a woman in your life. You can grab her compact mirror if you need to. So I didn't really put those things in. This is kind of more of the basic essentials that I think that everybody should have or build up to in their 3D printing arsenal. And by doing that, by having those tools, you're pretty much ready for any eventuality that might come up. So I know we were going to be talking about slicing software today. Because I was out of the office yesterday, I didn't get a chance to record that. So we are going to put that off until our live stream on the 20th, or pardon me, our recorded show on the 20th. And that's our second last show of the year. We're going to take a little break. We're going to do some work in the studio. So when we come back in January, there are some changes. So anybody got any questions? Good idea about the mirror. Yes, it is a great idea about the mirror. It's one of those things I never think about, you know, because most of my printers are up high. German Printing Nerd says he has everything mentioned, including a small mirror. Again, guys, if you haven't already, or if you know somebody that can benefit from the information we do on this show every week, like and subscribe, and put your comments in below. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like. Here's a question of the day for you guys. What tool that I didn't show do you think is essential for every 3D printer? That every 3D printing nerd should have. So let me know down in the comments below, what tool is your favorite tool out of your 3D printing arsenal? That'll be the question today. What's your favorite tool? And if I missed something, we'll definitely cover it in a later episode. So don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell notification button, and you'll get notified every time we do a live stream or we do something else when we upload. Hey Cheryl, how are you today? And if you haven't got yourself one of these yet, you obviously know we have them available. So if you want one, I will put the address in the description below today, in the show notes, so you guys can hammer to smash like Hulk. Jerry says a hammer. I don't think a hammer and technology make good bedfellows. That's just my opinion. But I don't think they make good bedfellows. I'm really excited to bring you guys the footage that we shot at Trotec yesterday. It was a fascinating time. If any of you guys are also following us on Facebook, you'll have seen a little piece of acrylic that was cut with the logo on it yesterday, and it looked absolutely amazing. The German Printing Nerd has said stainless steel 0 to 14 millimeter reaming knife, edge reamer, universal drill, hand drill, that sort of thing. That's actually a pretty good idea too. So make sure that you guys put that stuff down in the comments below so then I can respond to them. And the more that you watch, of course, the more you help out the channel, the more that we interact together and you leave your comments and I can comment back on them, then it helps the channel immensely. We are still growing every day, and I thank you guys for tuning in to allow me to impart some of the information that I have to you guys. I know most of you guys already know what I'm talking about. What do I do for a living? This is it. This is what I do for a living. My company is a video production company, so we go out and we do video for different clients. Sometimes we'll produce podcasts, that sort of stuff. So that's what I do for a living. Also, USB cutting and smoothing knife. I don't think I've ever heard of a USB cutting and smoothing knife. I'd love to see one of those. Send me a picture. Oh, hot knife. Okay, a hot knife. Back in my day, hot knives were something completely different. Cheryl's telling everybody that I've been a computer geek for a very long time, and yes, this is his living. Cheryl's absolutely right. Cheryl is a very old and dear friend of mine, and we grew up together. We went to school together. We hung out together. And when I first got into computers, she was right there with me, and we had a lot of fun on the Commodore VIC-20, I believe it was. I remember right. She'll know better than her memory's like a trap. Mine is starting to be like an open box. Things fall out. But yes, I've been doing this for a long, long time. I got involved in the entertainment business a long time ago, back when I was a young man, and kind of stuck with it. And now I do this. I try and bring you guys educational, entertaining shows, and go from there. So I hope that the information that I'm giving you guys is something of value to you. Derek says, beware of fumes when cutting plastic with a hot knife, as it may overheat the plastic, causing dangerous fumes. You're absolutely right about that. One of the things that I discovered yesterday when I was at Trotec is that most things that you print, like the harder plastics like ABS and PETG and some of the polycarbonates, you can actually put into a laser engraver and have those laser engraved, which was very, very cool. But the fumes are a big problem, yes. Try not to cut or melt plastic in an enclosed area because you can get headaches, and there are carcinogens that it gives off that can be harmful to your health. So everybody be safe. And when you're using the tools, whether it be a hobby knife, a box cutter, or even a pair of tweezers, be very careful. Always ground yourself. Use a grounding strap when you're working on the electronics of your 3D printer. And this goes for computers as well. In this kit, it's got a, boy, there's all kinds of junk in this kit. It's got a wrist strap that you simply just put on and ground yourself. So you can just basically throw that on your wrist, clip that to another piece of metal to ground yourself, or you can actually pop that into the grounding plug, which is the round plug in North America on your power bars, and that will also ground you, so that you don't let static shock affect your electronics. Jerry's asking what country I'm in. I'm actually in Canada. You can tell I've never used this because I have a couple of other ones, so I don't use the one that's in this packet. But yes, I'm in Canada, and in Calgary, and specifically. I was a Manitoba man. My family is all from Nova Scotia, Yarmouth area, Lower East Pubnico, on my father's side. And most of them still live out there. I've never been there, but I'd love to go and go out and hang out and do some lobster fishing maybe one day. It's kind of on my bucket list before I get too old to do it. But that being said, guys, that's all we've got for the show today. I think we've pretty much covered it all. Again, if you like the show, hit that thumbs up in the down below, and leave me your comments, suggestions for anything that you want to see on the show. I got to come visit Thompson again, I was told. My cousin, that's my cousin Derek, by the way, Derek Boudreau. He just got a 3D printer, and he lives in Nova Scotia, and they do a lot of fishing out there, and he's just saying that I should come out to Nova Scotia. I should finish that sentence. I should come out to Nova Scotia and have a good time, visit the rest of my relatives. But until we see you again on Friday for the live stream, on Friday it's a live Q&A. Anything you want to ask me about 3D printing, live streaming, podcasting, anything like that, I'm going to take those questions, and we'll be on Facebook, and we'll be again back here on YouTube, and we'll be on Twitch on Friday. So until then, you guys have yourselves a great weekend, and don't forget, show some love to our sponsor, spool3d.ca. They ship all over the world. In Canada, if you've got an order of $140 or more, it's free shipping. They have everything from 3D printers, parts, accessories, as well as all kinds of filaments, and we've showed you a bunch of those. So give them some love. Go to spool3d.ca, print it right, print it with spool3d.ca. And again, I will see you guys on Friday.